Welcome to our channel. This is the Daily Savior, and this is Oscar.
Hi, this is Sebastian. I'm going to be your co-host, and this is the Weekly Savior podcast. So we
I
named
already
it.
said that, bro.
I know, but
We got like 60 takes on this. Come on. Welcome to our podcast. This is the Daily Savior, and I'm Oscar.
Hi, I'm Sebastian. I'm going to be your co-host. So we wanted to start this podcast because we think that there are a lot of important issues that aren't being discussed in the mainstream, especially in Northeastern colleges. So Oscar and I started the Weekly Savior because we think that these ideas can maybe save lives, and at the worst, they're not going to kill anybody. So I think
That's
that's
what we
that's
hope.
what
That's what
that's
we
where we
hope.
hope. And so
Yes.
we both have a reason why we started this podcast. So Oscar, why don't you tell us why you started this?
Yeah, of course. So for me, it was mainly for two reasons. So the number one reason is actually why I'm even here and speaking in English with in this camera. And it was
Yeah.
mainly so I'm Spanish. I'm from Spain, and back in like ninth grade or eighth grade, I didn't know that much English, or at least the English that I know nowadays. And typical English. I mean, typical Spanish dude. So soccer
Typical.
and just like went to school and had my Spanish friends and just did normal stuff.
Yeah.
But then came some international people, some Americans. And so I got introduced to a new type of culture and a new way of seeing a language and the world by that, by that extent. And so it really opened my eyes, talking with them, and eventually they became one of my best friends. So yeah, I think that is why I'm doing this podcast. A part of it because I think that by talking to people, even like Sebastian, a friend, I think I can broaden my worldview, and that can help me survive in the world. So,
Of course.
yeah,
So seeing people who are different from you, I guess more diverse,
yeah,
with different ideas, which could be considered, scary. Like that
yeah,
made you grow as a person.
for sure.
Yeah,
So,
please.
tell me, Sebastian, what is your reason to start this podcast?
My reason is that, oh, by the way, we're both Boston University students. So we go to
Yes.
school in the Northeast, and we want this podcast to be focused towards college students in the Northeast because that's where we are. So we think that's where we could give the most content. That's where we could give the most meat, the most, yeah. There's a lot of issues that I see at BU that are not being talked about, such as the fact that BU, Boston University, is not a community; it's a city. So when I would be in class and I would go and talk to a girl or a guy, to try to make friends, and they just kind of look at me like why are you talking to me? Where like it's like when you like if you try to talk to someone in a city, you ask someone for directions, and there's like that stranger like who like you could be anyone talk like we have nothing in common. So I think that's something that happened to me at BU, and I think happens at many Northeastern colleges, and it can be seen with anxiety rates, depression rates, and just huge amounts of students feeling lonely and isolated. It's because we don't have anything in common anymore. A big reason for that, I think, is that we don't talk about worthwhile issues for whatever reason. We don't think it's important to talk about worthwhile issues, and so we're not making a connection. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed. So I think with this
Okay.
podcast, we can talk to people who are going through those same issues.
Yeah, for sure. And I think people that are listening to this podcast, specifically this podcast,
Yeah.
will relate, because if you're looking into this podcast, then that means that you're looking into, well, I'm gonna get to a college in the U.S. and how's that
Yeah.
experience going to be? And I think you described it very well. That there is a
Thank you.
sense of that you're kind of alone there, and you have to go out your way to make friends, and that's definitely something hard.
Oscar, can you please tell me your last why as to why you want to do this podcast?
Absolutely. I think it's the most important. for me as a person too. So it's what you talked about a little bit, connecting, but even more specifically, communicating, right? Because it's how we get to connect, right?
Yeah.
Through communication. And I don't mean exclusively between people. So like what we're doing right now, or when we bring guests over, but actually within oneself, right? There's various techniques of getting better at communicating with yourself. But I think that we can contribute some knowledge in that, and we can help with that. And that's my biggest one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my biggest one, and the second one.
I agree with you because I think what we want to do is bring value, and I think doing this podcast gives value to our lives, and we can also give, because of the platform that YouTube can give us. We can also bring value to you guys and to our listeners, and I mean I think that's a blessing. So we want to take advantage of it, and we want to talk about amazing issues and help you and help you acquaint you with these issues.
Absolutely.